Shabbat Shalom. I think we can do that a little bit better. Shabbat Shalom and Chag Sameach. Shabbat Shalom. So great, wonderful. Thank you for joining us tonight. For any of our visitors, thank you for joining us as well. We are going to start off tonight with the lighting of the Hanukkah candles. Who knows what number tonight is in this back corner? Yes. Yep. They stole it right out of your mouth, didn't they? The third night. Yes. Hayom Shlosha Yamim LeChanukkah. Tonight is the third night of Hanukkah. And if you will turn to page 572, if you don't happen to already know the Hanukkah blessings, you can find the Hanukkah blessings there. I'm going to invite the kids to come up to the bima with me. Kids, any kids under bar bat mitzvah age, come on up for just a moment. All right. Come on, super kids. Come on up. All right. Who knows which order we like them in?
Me.
We go. Yeah, which order do we do? Who knows? I'm gonna move out of the way. Does anyone in the congregation know why we go? We put them in from right to left, and we light them from left to right. Does anyone know why we light them from left to right instead of the other way around?
Because we read that way.
Well, that's a really good point. We do read that way, so we do it both ways. Hebrew when we put it in, and the way we read when we light it, that's a really good point. The reason we do it, one of the reasons that the rabbis have us do it that way, is because we always want to start on the newest night. So each first night, so to speak, gets its own candle. And you can almost think of the other candles as a little bitty yard site for the other nights that have already passed. So we start with that first candle first. I'm going to stand behind it just so that I'm out of the way. But I want everyone to help us sing very loudly the Hanukkah blessing at the top of page 570. Sorry. Just kidding. That is the counting of the Omer. 572. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kishanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lehalignem shel Hanukkah. Good. And another blessing. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam she'asa nisim la'avoteinu v'imotenu bayamim ha'em b'azman hazeh. Awesome. Chag Sameach. Thank you very much. And now, we turn in our prayer books back to page 120, and I'd like to invite up Emily and Jerry to lead us in the lighting of the Shabbat candles and Kiddush. You can find the Shabbat candle prayer on 120 and Kiddush on 122 and 3.
Wrong side.
I moved on you.
As these Shabbat candles give light to all who behold them, so may we by our lives give light to all who behold us. As their brightness reminds us of the generations of Israel who have kindled light, so may we in our own day be among those who kindle light. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kiddushanu b'mitzvosav etzivanu l'chadlik ner shel Shabbat.
Amen.
Blessed are you, Adonai, our God, sovereign of all, who hallows us with mitzvot, commanding us to kindle the light of Shabbat.
Page 122 and 123.
And there was evening and there was morning, the sixth day. The heaven and earth were finished, and all their array. On the seventh day God finished the work that God had been doing, and God ceased on the seventh day from all the work that God had done. And God blessed the seventh day and declared it holy, because on it God ceased from all the work of creation God had done. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, borei peri hagafen.
Amen.
Praise to you, Adonai our God. Wait a minute, what am I saying? Is that on? Yeah, there it is. Praise to you, Adonai our God, sovereign of the universe, creator of the fruit of the vine.
And we join together in that second part, since we've already done the first part. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'ratzavanu, v'shabbat kodsho v'ahavahu v'ratzon hinchilanu, zikaron lema'aseh v'reishit. Ki hu yom tehila lemikrahe kodesh, zecher letziat mitzrayim. Ki vanu v'achata ve'atanu kidashta mikol amim. V'shabbat kodshecha be'ava u'v'ratzon hinchaltanu. Baruch atah Adonai mekadesh hashambat. Amen.
I'm waiting. Look out.
L'chaim.
I should run my sugar up. Thank you.
Shabbat shalom. Thank you so very much. Thank you, Sherry.
So, who we got over here?
Invite you now to turn to page 138 as we sing as the Kabbalists did, gathering at sundown in the fields, greeting Shabbat. We join our voices together in the poem Lecha Dodi. We will sing along with the refrain Lecha Dodi. We will sing the first, second, and last verse, rising on the last verse. Lecha dodi likrat kala, pnei Shabbat nekabela. 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 Shamor v'sachor b'dibur echad, Hishmi'anu el hameyuchad. Adonai echad u'shemo echad, l'shem el tiferet v'litila. Lecha dodi likrat kala, pnei Shabbat nekabela. Lecha dodi likrat kala, pnei Shabbat nekabela. Likrat Shabbat lechu v'nelcha, ki mekor habracha, merosh mikedem nesucha, sof ma'aseh b'makshavat chila. Lecha dodi
Lecha dodi likrat kala, Pnei Shabbat nikabela. Lecha dodi likrat kala, Pnei Shabbat nikabela. Boi v'shalom ma'ateret bala, Gam besimcha u'betzola, Toch emunei am segula, Boi chala, boi chala. Lecha dodi, Lecha dodi likrat kala, Pnei Shabbat nikabela. Lecha dodi likrat kala, Pnei Shabbat nikabela. While we've risen, we take a moment to greet those around us with Shabbat Shalom, Chag Sameach, as we take a moment. Yay lay lay, 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 yay lay So normally we do Shabbat service number 1, and I like to throw things or make things different every once in a while. So tonight we're going to do Shabbat evening service number 2, and that can be found on page 263. And for anyone fortunate enough to have the more slimline version of the Siddur, you're going to look for the numbers in the brackets because it is missing some of the things that the more fuller version contains. Let's join together on page 263 with Chatzi Kaddish. Yitgadal v'yitgadash shemei Rabbah Be'al ma'arev v'rachirotei v'yamlik malchutei B'chayechon uvyomechon Uv'chayerecho beit Yisrael Bagala bagala Uvizman kariv V'yimeru amen Yehi Shmei Rabba Mevarach, Le'alam Olal Me'al Maya, Yitbarach, Yitbarach, Vayishtabach, V'yitbar V'yitramam V'yitnaseh, V'yitadar V'yitale, V'yithalal, Shemei Kedusha, B'rechu Le'elim Min Kol Birchata V'shirata, Tush Bechata V'nechemata, Damiram Be'alma, V'meru, Amen. We rise as we turn together to page 264. Ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la. Baruch et Adonai, Amen Borach. Baruch Adonai, Amen Borach, Amen Borach, Le'olam Va'ed. Mevorach le'olam va'ed. Responsively at the bottom of the next page. Adonai, your majesty is proclaimed by the marvels of earth and sky. Sun, moon, and stars testify to your power and wisdom. Day follows day in endless succession, and the years vanish, but your sovereignty endures. Though all things pass, let not your glory depart from us. Help us to become co-workers with you and endow our fleeting days with abiding worth. Baruch atah Adonai, Hama'ariv Aravim. Ahavat olam Beit Yisrael amcha ahavta Torah umitzvot chukim umishpatim. In each age we receive and transmit Torah. At each moment we are addressed by the world together. In each age we are challenged by our ancient teaching. At each moment we stand face to face with truth. In each age we add our wisdom to that which has gone before. At each moment, the knowing heart is filled with wonder. In each age, the children of Torah become its builders and seek to set the world firm on a foundation of truth. Baruch atah Adonai, Ohev Amo Yisrael. As we go into Shema on the next page, as you notice, we have many of you those of you who are members of the congregation know we have a lot of musicians within our congregation, and all of our musicians are actually out of town this weekend, every single one of them. And so we together are the instruments in the choir together, but it gives us a chance when we do Shema Yisrael. Normally we're doing it in a nice tempo that goes with whatever the piano's playing. And so tonight we're going to do the old traditional sound or song tune to Hear O Israel, but I want you to draw out those words. And when we get to the word echad, the word one, I want you to just hold it for just a minute, sit with it, the word one. But as we do each word, Shema, hear, Yisrael, we all know that word. Adonai, Eloheinu is our God, or our God. Adonai echad. Let's join together. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. You may be seated. ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודך, והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך, ושיננתם לבניך, ודיברת בם, בשבתך בביתך, ובלכתך בדרך, ובשוכבך ובקומך, וקשרתם להות על ידיך, והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך, וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובישעריך, למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותי, והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים, להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם. אדוני אלוהיכם, אמן. We worship the power that unites the universe, a promise of harmony for all together. Yet that oneness eludes our grasp as imperfection and evil abound. Before our eyes, there is a vision of perfection, order, and goodness. There is evil enough to break the heart, and there is good enough to exalt the soul. When will redemption come? When we grant everyone what we claim for ourselves. Long ago, we escaped the tyranny of Egypt. Our people saw the power of the Most High. We learned God's presence redeems time and event. And so we celebrate this power that makes for freedom. Our song of redemption, Mi Chamocha, can be found at the top of page 270. And tonight we're going to do Debbie Friedman. In my folder, it's just called Debbie Friedman 2. There are more than one Mi Chamocha that Debbie Friedman has written. And this one is meant to be done as a round. And again, as we do this song, I'm just going to go through it a couple of times. Feel free to jump in wherever you want to. Make it into the worship that you want it to be as we sing our Song of Redemption, 270 Mi Chamocha. Mi chamocha ba'elim Adonai, mi chamocha nedar b'kodesh, nora tehilot, Osefele, Osefele. Let's try that Mi Chamocha. Mi Chamocha ba'elim Adonai. Mi Chamocha nedar b'kodesh. One more time. And Mi Chamocha ba'elim Adonai. Mi chamocha nedar b'kodesh. And now I'm going to ask you to do something that is going to get you to step out of your comfort zone. As I am beating on the podium here, I'm going to ask you to keep a beat. As we just do the Mi Chamocha part, it's okay if you don't know the rest of it. It's all right. But join in with a clap, a stomp, whatever it is. Join in with me right now. 1, 2. Joey, get us going. Clap, 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 clap. There you go. And now let's try that Mi Chamocha again. And 1. Mi Chamocha ba'elim Adonai. Mi chamocha nedar b'kodesh. Good again. And mi chamocha. Can you do it louder? Ba'elim Adonai. מי כמוך נדר בקודש. You know, the psalmist says to make a joyful noise, and that is something that I have always grown up hearing in my family because I always had a very musical family. But my father, bless him, cannot carry a tune at all, and he loves to sing. And so my mother would always say, the psalmist says, make a joyful noise. And so if you were to hear my father sing, it would sound something a little like this. Do, 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 do. Like it's not good. But he sings with heart when he does sing. And so I encourage you, no matter what you sound like, it does not matter. These songs are not just songs to be pretty, they're songs of our heart. And so as we move forward into the service, make these prayers yours. They are something that is written onto the page that is meant for you to bring alive for yourself and your everyday experience. So as we turn to page 271, we're going to read together the English at the bottom of the page. Give us a place to rest, O God. Shelter us in the long, soft evening shadows of your truth. You are true protection and safety. In your presence we find love and acceptance. Watch over us as we go forth. Prepare for us as we return. Spread over us your shelter of peace, over all we love, over our Jerusalem and yours. Baruch atah Adonai, hapurei sukat shalom aleinu ve'al kol amo Yisrael ve'al Yerushalayim. The people of Israel shall keep Shabbat, observing Shabbat throughout the ages as a covenant for all time. We join together in singing the words of Vishamru at the top of page 272. Veshamru v'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat la'asot et ha-Shabbat ledorotam berit olam. Veshamru v'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat la'asot et ha-Shabbat ledorotam berit olam. Beni uvein b'nei Yisrael oti le'olam, oti le'olam. Veshamru b'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat la'asot et ha-Shabbat ledorotam berit olam. And the next verse goes to a little bit of reggae. Think of it in your head. We're in the middle of the cold season, so we need a little bit of wake me up. So let's try Kisheshet Yamin with a little bit of a island feel. Kisheshet Yamim Asa Adonai, Asa Adonai et hashamayim ve'et haaretz. Veshamru v'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat la'asot et ha-Shabbat ledorotam berit olam. V'yom hashvi'i Shabbat vayinafash, Shabbat vayinafash, Shabbat vayinafash. Veshamru v'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat la'asot et ha-Shabbat ledorotam berit olam. Invite you now, as we move into the next part of our prayer, to just take a moment, take a deep breath. As we move into our central tefillah, we will rise and we will chant the words together, and rather than them being on the even pages as we're normally used to in service one, they're all on each page. So now that we've rested for a moment, please rise and turn to page 273 for our central tefillah. We join together. Adonai sepatatita uviadita hilatecha. Adonai, open up my lips, that my mouth may declare your praise. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu, Elohei Avotenu v'Imotenu, Elohei Abraham, Elohei Isaac, Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, Elohei Leah, El Hagadol, Haribo v'Hadorah, El Elyon, Gomel Chasadim Tovim, V'konei Hakol, V'zoker Chatzei Avot v'Imalot, U'mevii Gula Livnei Bneihem, V'man Shemo Be'ahava, Melech Ozer U'Mashiach Barnei, Baruch atah Adonai, Magen Avraham, Be'ezrat Sarah, Atah Gibor Le'olam Adonai, Mechayim et Harav L'Shia, Mashiva Ruach U'Marira Gashem, Metakel Chaim B'Chesed, Mechayim Hatim Be'Rachamim Rabim, Somek Noflim Be'Rofei Kolim, U'Matir Asurim, U'Mekayem Emunato, Lishenei Afar, Milchamot Ramavat Ebrurot, U'Medom Elah, Melech Memit U'Mekayem, U'Matzmiach Yeshua, B'nei Amanatah V'Kayot Hamtim, Baruch atah Adonai, Mechayeh HaMetim. Atah kadosh v'shimcha kadosh, Kedoshim b'kol yom v'yeladu chasela. Baruch atah Adonai, Ha'el HaKadosh. Whether it is through the words of the Siddur or the words of your own heart, I invite you to continue praying through page 283. We will do that silently. You may be seated whenever you are ready. Mi malel gurod Yisrael odan mi imne אין מחודו יחום הגבור גואל העם. מי ימהלל גבורות ישראל אותן מי ימנה. אין מחודו יקום הגבור גאול העם. שמע בימים ההם בזמן הזה, מכבי מושיע ופודה, ובימינו כולם ישראל, יתאחד ים כולי הגאים. מי מהלל גבורות ישראל אותן מי ימנה. הם בכל בור יקום הגבור גואל העם. Tonight's Torah portion indicates, last week we left Joseph having been sold into slavery or been sold out of the pit to a group of people and would later find his way into slavery in Egypt. He would serve as Potiphar's essentially second to Potiphar. He says that Potiphar had, that there was no other person higher than Joseph, than Potiphar. So whether he had a few people like that or only Joseph, we don't know. But anyway, he was essentially head of the household after he's accused of doing something that he didn't do, and he was thrown into jail. When he's thrown into jail, he rises and he becomes essentially a leader of the jail. He's one of the trustees, if you can say. Yeah, if that's kind of the modern day equivalent, although maybe a little bit more because he's actually put in charge of the other jailers, so maybe a little bit more than a trustee. So during that, two of Pharaoh's staff are thrown into jail at the same time, and they both have dreams. And Joseph interprets those dreams. He tells one of them that you are going to be put back in your position, and you will continue to serve the wine or the cup of whatever the Pharaoh is drinking to him, and the chief baker would be put to death. And in 3 days' time, all of that came to pass. And he asked that the chief cupbearer remember him before Pharaoh, and we left the story with him being forgotten. We pick up the story with Pharaoh having a dream, a very strange dream about 7 skinny cows and 7 very large healthy cows. The skinny cows the skinny cows actually eat the healthy cows. The diseased cows, let's rephrase this. The diseased cows eat the well cows. And he has another dream about grain, and it's the same thing. The healthy ones eat the bad ones. The diseased ones eat up the healthy ones. So finally he's remembered, and he's summoned to Pharaoh's court, and where he interprets the dreams, and he interprets them accurately, that there's about to be a famine. And so you have 7 years of plenty, hence the 7 very sturdy cows and the 7 very sturdy ears of grain. And you gather all of the stuff, and then after those 7 years, we're going to have 7 years of famine. In those 7 years of famine, you're going to have to use everything that we have essentially taken. And so Joseph is put in charge of everything, and lo and behold, there comes a famine, and it touches all of the known world at the time, at least the known world to the authors of the story. And so Jacob and his children have to travel to Egypt to beg or to buy, for grain. And so while they're there, Joseph recognizes them, and he sells them the grain, but he sends them on their way. He gives them a little bit of difficulty about it. They go on their way, and but they say, we can't go back without our brother Benjamin. We can't ever go back, can't get anything else without our brother Benjamin. So after a while of having gone through everything that they've eaten, they have to go back to Egypt. And this time Jacob sends his youngest son, Benjamin, with him. And Benjamin goes, Joseph recognizes again everyone. He sells them grain, he sends them on his way, and he slips a cup into his silver cup, or he has his servant slip a silver cup into the sack for Benjamin. And as they're on their way, he then sends his servants out to arrest them for having stolen the cup. And we end the story of Miketz with Benjamin having been accused of stealing the cup, and we don't know exactly what is about to happen. That is, in a nutshell, the Torah portion for tonight. And we're not going to read the Torah portion tonight. Instead, I wanted to do a couple of stories for Hanukkah itself. And so now that we have talked about what is in the Torah, and if you come to Torah study tomorrow, then you'll get more out of Miketz itself. So please remember that. But let's talk about a couple of stories related to Hanukkah. So, a long time ago in a small shtetl, life was not very easy. The community worked hard every day, but obviously there were many challenges. One year, things were especially hard when a terrible fire destroyed the synagogue. How many of you have heard the story of the wooden menorah? Anyone? Okay. You can find the story online in a lot of different versions. This is one that I put together for tonight based on everything that I found online. The place where they davened, sang songs and celebrated holidays was suddenly gone. It burned. Even worse, the beautiful menorah they had used for Hanukkah, one that had been in the community for generations, was lost. As the days grew shorter and Hanukkah drew closer, sadness filled the whole community. Families whispered to each other in worry, how will we light the candles this year? How can we celebrate without a menorah? The children, confused, asked, what about the lights? What about the blessings? The grown-ups didn't know what to say. The children didn't know what to say. Hanukkah, which should have been a time of joy, felt very dark that year. In the community lived a man named Yaakov. Yaakov was a simple carpenter. He wasn't a rebbe, a rabbi, or a scholar. He certainly wasn't very wealthy. His tools were old and his clothes were patched, but Yaakov had a warm heart and a very strong faith. When he saw the sadness in the faces of his neighbors, he knew he had to do something. I can't replace the old menorah, he thought, but maybe I can make a new one. One cold morning, Yaakov went to the ruins of the synagogue. Carefully, he searched through the charred wood and broken beams. He found a few pieces of wood that were not completely burned, just enough to work with. They were rough and they were uneven, but Yaakov gently picked them up and he carried them back to his little workshop. There he began to work on them. Every day he would carve and he'd shape the wood. His tools were dull, the wood was splintered in places, but he didn't give up. Yaakov thought about the Maccabees and the miracle of the oil, how a tiny jar of pure oil lasted enough just for one day. Yaakov prayed that his menorah and his strength might bring some of that light and hope back to his community. When the first night of Hanukkah arrived, Yaakov brought his wooden menorah to the town square. Come on, everyone, he called. Let us celebrate Hanukkah together. The people gathered, curious to see what he had made. When they saw the menorah, they hesitated. It's just made of wood, some whispered. It's not shiny or beautiful like the old one. Can it really honor the miracle of Hanukkah? The rabbi of the shtetl stepped forward. He looked at the menorah carefully, running his hand over its rough surface. Then he smiled and he said, this menorah is beautiful. It was made with love, and it will shine with our faith. Hanukkah isn't about how fancy the menorah is. It's about the light it brings into our homes, our community, and the world. The people nodded and they began to prepare for the lighting. The children helped pour the oil into the cups, and the adults gathered to say the blessings. When Yaakov lit the first candle, as it was his honor to do, the little flame flickered and it glowed. It wasn't very large or grand, but it was steady, it was warm, and it seemed to brighten the entire square. Every night they lit another candle. By the 8th night, the menorah was filled with light, its glow reflecting in the faces of the people gathered around it. The children sang and the adults shared stories of the Maccabees, and for the first time in months, the community felt joy again. The wooden menorah became a symbol of hope. It reminded the people and the entire community that even when times are hard, a small spark of light can bring people together and make everything brighter. The people understood that Hanukkah wasn't just about the menorah they had lost. It was about the light that they could create together. Years later, when the synagogue was rebuilt, the community bought a grand silver menorah. It was tall and shiny with intricate carvings, but every Hanukkah the people still used Yaakov's wooden menorah. They placed it next to the silver one, a reminder of the year when one man's kindness brought light back into their lives. One other short story that tells something similar, but just from goes a slightly different angle, and this is a story again about this time a rabbi who builds the menorah. So let's just jump into it. A certain rabbi in a small Eastern European community was famed not just for his wisdom in Torah and his holiness, but also for being a great artisan of metalwork. One auspicious year, the community commissioned the rabbi to create a new menorah for the community. The rabbi gathered all his materials, and he worked to cast a great, beautiful silver menorah. He brought it in, and he set it down. And in typical Jewish fashion, the whole congregation replied, "Oh, how lovely, it's just beautiful," while one person in the back says, "But it would be even more lovely if there wasn't this one flaw. See it right here, this one spot?" So the rabbi took the menorah and he recast it. And he brought it back to the shul. And everyone said, "Oh, how lovely, how beautiful," except for one person who said, "But there's one flaw here. See this one here, Rabbi? You missed a spot here." So the rabbi took the menorah and he recast it again and again. And each time he had the same result. "Oh, how wonderful, how beautiful, but there's one defect here." This went on quite a while as Hanukkah was drawing closer and closer. Luckily, it wasn't there yet, but finally he kept working with it. And finally, the first night of Hanukkah arrived, and everyone was nervous. What is it going to look like? What is it going to look like? The rabbi brought out the newly cast menorah, and it was grand. It was huge. There were flowers and there were almonds all carved and worked into the bases and the branches, and all of them, they were different sizes. They looked so real that you just wanted to go up and touch them like they had just been glazed with silver right out of nature. As every congregant walked up to it, they could see 1,000 different facets that had been beaten into it, and their faces were just sparkling out of it. There were no two of them the same. There were arches and buttresses of silver flowing all over the entire menorah. The form was perfect, and no one could complain. Brought to tears by such beauty, the congregants exclaimed, "How wonderful! How did you do it, Rabbi? How did you create something with such beauty, detail, and finesse?" The rabbi simply responded, "Each time a person would point out a flaw, I would take a note. The final piece you see is made of all the flaws you have pointed out. I have not created this. You have. You see, even when we put all our flaws together, because they are ours and they are shared, they still become something of beauty." In these stories, we have two menorahs to light our path. One menorah made of humility and love and cherished, and one menorah that takes the grit and the dirty part of our lives, the things that we like to complain about, and turns it into something of beauty. As we finish up this Hanukkah season and we go into the next week, we move into the secular New Year, may we use our lives as a menorah to light up the world around us. Ken Yehi Ratzon. At this time in our service, we want to stop and we want to think of everyone in our community, all the people in our hearts who are sick on our list The people that we are remembering: Hall Bailey, Sue Ray Bishop, Gavin Brannon, Lauren Rosenbaum Brown, Ruth Corder, Philip Gordon, Bill Gotthelf, Elizabeth Harrington, Eric Heron, Jerry Jacobs, Robert Kay, Harry Kolodny, Andrew Lewis, Philippa Newfield, Robert Pack, Jerry Prince, Damian Riggs, Yolanda Henderson Riggs, Art Solomon, Joyce Solomon, Michael Sawyer, Betty Shornick, Gilbert Solik, Carol Joyce Sparkman, Alyssa Rabinsky Stein, Catherine Weiner, and our dear ones in Israel: Gabriela Ravinsky Ott and family, Shoshana Boram and family, Sipi and Rafi bin Talila, Galia Bonet and children, Miriam Britt and family, Jacob Korkus and family, Sarah Cohen Korkus and family, the family of Alexandra Sklar, Ron and Shlamit Gernot, Elon Gressel, Jonathan Gressel, Noam Gressel, Macy and Tamar Gernot, Rabbi Stuart Clammer and family, Sarit Ozeri and Renat McDonald, the Parker family, Francine Sherwood, Yara and Evan Wertheim, Alex Wiseman and family. If there are any names that you would like to add, or any names that I may have mispronounced, please let me know as I indicate to you. We join together in the middle of page 371 with the words of Debbie Friedman's Mishaberach. Mishaberach Avotenu Mekor Abracha Leimodenu. Bless the source of strength, who bless the ones before us. Help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say, Amen. Mishaberach imotenu mekor abracha lavodenu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shalema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say, Amen. I invite you to rise before the open ark as we turn to page 586 for Aleinu L'Shabeach, followed by Yom B'Ne'emar on 591. Aleinu L'Shabeach Ladon HaKol, Lated Gedula L'Yotzer Breshit, Shelo Asanu Kedriye Arachot, Velo Samanu Gemishmechot Adama, Shelo Sam Helkenu Kahem, Vegor Aleinu Kekol Hamonam, Va'anaknu Korim, Umishakavim Urodim, Lifnei Melech, Malkei Hamlakim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. V'ne'emar ve'haya Adonai lemelech al kol haaretz, Bayom hahu, Yeh Adonai echad, Ushemo, Ushemo, Ushemo Echad. You may be seated. Yesh kochavim she'oram magia arza. There are stars up above, so far away we only see their light long, long after the star itself is gone. And so it is with people that we loved. Their memories keep shining ever brightly, though their time with us is done. But the stars that light up the darkest night, these are the lights that guide us. As we live our days, these are the ways we remember. Tonight, we remember our thoughts are with the Thomas family as they mourn the loss of Garland Wright, Greg's grandfather, and with all of those who are observing yahrzeits for Molly Belanoff, Sarah Berman, Cleveland Branson, Evan Crunk, Manny Crystal, Linda Denmark, Barry Draft, Isidore Draft, Isaac Epstein, Gerard Erickson, Joe Jarash, Harry Glass, Joshua Goldberg, Molly Harbor, Sam Korlitz, Jacob Coleman, Joseph Lasky, Francis Lefkowitz, Morris Mermelstein, Jacob Nechemkin, Andrew Orkin, Philip Patton, Lucille Rosenfield, Libby Rothwein, Simon Rubinsky, Lou Shornick, Leonard Smith, Maurice Solik, Millie Stam, Alan Weiss, and Leonard Weiner. If there are any other names that you would like to add or any names that I may have mispronounced, please let me know as I indicate to you. We join together our voices as one at the top of page 598. I invite you to rise or be seated, as is your tradition, as we join together in Kaddish Yatom, our mourner's Kaddish. Yit Gadal v'yit Kadash Shemei Rabbah, Be'alma divarach Cherutei v'amlich Malchutei, B'chayechon uv'yomechom, Uv'chayedecho Beit Yisrael, Ba'agala uvizman kari v'imru amen. Yehi shmei rabba mevarach le'alam alalmei almaya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitba'ar v'yitramam v'yitnaseh. V'yitadar v'yitalev v'yithalal shmei dekidusha barichu. Le'ela minko birchata v'shirata. Tush b'chata v'nechemata. Da'amiram be'alma v'imru amen. Yehi shlama rabba min shemaya, v'chaim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael, v'imru, amen. Ose shalom bimromav, hu ya'aseh shalom, aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael, v'imru, amen. May the one who creates harmony on high bring peace to us, and to all of Israel, and to all of the world, to which we say amen. You may be seated. Have just a few announcements. So, tomorrow morning, regular Shabbat services will be at 9 a.m., the Torah study at 10:45. BIC, Beth Israel, extends a huge thank you to all of those who helped serve at Stew Pot this week. This week now ending, we are especially grateful to Beth Orlansky, who coordinated those volunteers. Thank you, Beth. Beth continues to be generous with her time as our Stew Pot liaison, so please thank her for that, and anytime you feel so led, please volunteer. The Hanukkah dinner is set for this Sunday night, starting at 5:30 p.m. Reservations are closed, and we appreciate those that have RSVP'd, and remind anyone who is not that we will see you next year. Please put it on your calendar. Doubt and Discovery for January will be on the 16th at Artie Finkelberg's home. Please RSVP for that. We will be talking together about prayer. Our officers and board for 2025 will be installed on January the 17th with an enhanced ONEG to follow. Please donate to Meals on Wheels. Gift cards are always welcome, and they weigh less when you bring them to the office. They're also, you don't pay postage, I guess you pay gas. But either way, bring them to the office if you would like. And as always, all of this and more is in the blast and the highlights. As Sheila likes to remind us, read, people, read. Awesome. Thank you. Sheila, are there any other announcements that I missed? No. Awesome. Thank you, Sheila, for as always, running everything behind me and keeping me in order. Thank you, Ted, for helping us get everything together back there. Thank you to Eric and Zach for joining me on the Bema tonight. Thank you to Emily and Jerry for leading us. And who was in the back? Who did I see in the back? Thank you so much, Julia, for doing that as well. And as always, please join us for services Shabbat tomorrow, and we'll see you next week. Shabbat Shalom, everyone. Our last song tonight, I almost forgot. Our last song is going to be Sevivon. You can find it on page 670. I decided to pick the hardest Hanukkah song to do without a piano, but there won't be any on Sunday night, so we'll still be doing these. So this is practice. Let's join together in Sevivon. Sevivon, sov, 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 Chanukah hu chag tov, Chanukah hu chag tov, Sevivon, sov, 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 Chag simcha hu la'am, Nes gadol hayasham, Nes gadol hayasham, Chag simcha hu la'am, Sevivon, sov, 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 Chanukah hu chag tov, Chanukah hu chag tov, Sevivon, sov, sov, sov. Shabbat Shalom, everyone. Please join us in the back. Give me about 30 seconds and I'll be back there. We'll do our blessing over the challah.